Progress. An incisive look at our government at work, the programs, the accomplishments, the delivery, Pillars of Progress, coming up at 7:30 right here, just after the news. Welcome to Pillars of Progress, a look at the work our government is doing as it implements the development plans for the nation. I'm Anne-Marie Ganes, and in our first story, after 9 years of waiting, former employees of Caroni 1975 Limited have started receiving the leases for their agricultural plots. Over the last year, 1,200 leases were distributed. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa and a team of government ministers distributed 589 leases to recipients at a function in Chaguanas.
It is indeed the second time this month that we are distributing land to our citizens. And I want to highlight that it is all about delivery and service to the people of our land. The distribution of these lands comes with a guarantee and protection of security, of knowing that you own something that can provide food or shelter for you, that is a basic comfort and should never be underrated. This is so especially given the fact that today many citizens of this land are desperately searching for some type of security given our present economic reality.
The Prime Minister says by the end of August this year, the number of leases distributed to former Caroni workers should reach 3,000. She says the distribution of the leases marks the fulfillment of a manifesto promise by her People's Partnership administration. She says poverty eradication, stimulation of the economy, and development of the agriculture sector are invariably linked. Minister of Food Production, Land and Marine Resources, Vasan Bharat, lamented the closure of Caroni Limited and the displacement of the workers by the last administration.
You represent a cross-section of the vast geography that Caroni 1975 covered, from La Fortune to Woodland to Orange Grove, spanning 2 counties. Caroni 1975 was more than a sugar company. It was an agro-industrial giant that produced more than 44% of the GDP in the agricultural sector and injected in excess of $680 million into the national economy every year.
My children will work the land.
I will benefit because I'm not working at this moment.
In other news, work to free up the traffic flow along the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway took a major leap this week with the opening of the El Socorro North Access roads. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa cut the ribbon to open the roads, clearing the way for the removal of the traffic lights at the El Socorro intersection. Sunil Ramjit Singh has more.
It was a simple ceremony in which Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa cut a ribbon to formally open the El Socorro North Access roads. In addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister outlined the importance of these road developments.
In implementing the upgrade of road infrastructure, government is therefore committed to ensuring that the resulting transport system does 3 things. 1, to meet the basic access and equity needs of our citizens. 2, offers choice, convenience, and supports economic activity. And 3, is safe, resilient, and capable of being continued with minimal long-term effect on the environment. And so the Aranguez Improvement Works is a prime example of the realization of government's efforts towards these goals. The completed works will significantly reduce congestion along the highway while improving accessibility to regions north and south of the highway. In so doing, there will be, in my respectful view, tremendous positive impact on the national economy through reduced travel time, reduce vehicle operating costs, and reduce a negative impact on the national workforce.
If the change had not taken place, what she has demonstrated in the People's Partnership, in the government that we lead, is that we can do plenty with little. With little or no money. You look around and you'll see what we have done, what we have achieved.
The Ministry of Works and Transport also began work to widen the Uriah Butler Highway in the vicinity of Caroni. The works also include the strengthening of the highway surface and, when completed, will bring the highway up to international standards. Minister Warner says contractors have been asked to work as much as possible at nights and in the off-peak hours to minimize the inconvenience to commuters and motorists. He also asked the traveling public to have patience and to bear with whatever inconveniences they may experience from time to time, as it is all for their own long-term good. And residents of Penal have much to celebrate. Their more than 20 years of support to Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has borne fruit. After decades of neglect, their roads and drains are being repaired and upgraded in what is considered to be the largest injection of funds for development of the area by any government, funds to the tune of $119 million. The Scots Road network was reopened this week. Fields of similar improvements works at Pluck Road, La Fortune.
It was a Prime Minister expressing her gratitude to her constituents for their patiently getting improvements to their areas. After years of waiting, many of the complaints of neglect are finally being answered.
Simper had collapsed. The basic things to which we had grown accustomed were allowed to whittle away and degenerate into a very dilapidated state. Overgrown box drains, gaps of broken concrete, interrupted by tufts of ochre and grass, resulted in flooding in our communities. Pothole roads, resurfaced with just a thin layer of asphalt, really put on, like I said it yesterday, like a painting of the tar. You know, the black tar, you just paint it on the road near election time, then it breaks down. An irritation for us, for all of us, as we traverse the nation's roads, both near and far. The structural integrity of bridges in our communities became suspect. They could no longer be trusted, and in response to this neglect, you came out like an army. You possessed and voted for change on May 24th. Change you demanded, and change you got, so that your government is here this evening to remind you of that social contract and to assure you that as a government, the partnership is prepared to walk the talk. That expenditure has already included work on Scots Road, Mendes Trace, K Trace, just to name a few. And work is scheduled to start on the Penal Queenham Road onto the SS Erin Road. I look forward to that as well. In some cases, the failed asphalt, which had been applied over and over again, was removed. Retaining walls to buttress the support of roadways and drains have been constructed. Roadside drains and culvert crossings to ensure the surface water travel along designed watercourses have also been built. And I'm advised that the base layer has been strengthened before the hot mix was put on it. All of this means that our roads here will be stronger. They will enhance your traveling experience and for all those who use this area.
It was also a proud moment for Works and Transport Minister Jack Warner, as his ministry delivers to areas that have been neglected.
When last any government, before this government, when last any government in 1 year spent $119.6 million? When last? In Penal. Yes, that's correct. In Penal. Penal used to be a bad word for previous government. A bad word. And today, we are here to deliver for you in less than a year. With no election.
Another major project launched this week will alleviate traffic on the Presal flyover. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar turned the sod for the construction of an interchange at Presal, which is one of the main accesses to the busy Point Lisas industrial estate.
Thousands of commuters and motorists use the flyover to get to work to and from their residences daily. At rush hour mornings and afternoons, it is a traffic nightmare, sometimes backing up onto the highway. But in 10 months, the long, frustrating wait at this flyover may be no more.
And so this project is significant because it will upgrade the existing Diamond Interchange. It will provide decreased peak hour traffic. It will improve the turning for heavy vehicles and increase the capacity at the Couva-Presal interchange. There are uncertain times, even challenging times for our country, but your government has refused to accept old formulae for success. We have chosen to forge a new destiny, one that will be beneficial to all and leave a positive legacy for posterity by shaping a new future in which we can all be proud.
Member of Parliament for Couva South and Minister in the Ministry of Labour, Rudranat Indar Singh, said recent road projects in the area would bring welcome relief to the people who live and work in the area.
Roadworks was launched to the tune of $35 million to improve the transportation network for the constituency of Couva South. Today, we are seeing under the Minister of Works and Transport a program that has been initiated under the leadership of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet in terms of infrastructural development, something that will impact upon the quality of life of every citizen of this country who will utilize this particular interchange.
And a program of roadworks was also launched in the Couva North constituency. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar emphasized that government is committed to improving the quality of lives of citizens.
After many years of neglect and abandonment, the partnership says enough is enough, and without hesitation, we have embarked on a drive to ensure that the people of Trinidad and Tobago get what they deserve, nothing but the best. Motivated by our desire to do better, the Ministry of Works has chosen to upgrade, as I said, not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 roads in your constituency as a statement of our own understanding of the disrepair you experienced during all those years when we were in opposition politics.
Meanwhile, the Maraval Access Road was opened on Friday with a promise by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar that her government is here to deliver. The Maraval Access Road is a project that was long in waiting and one which prompted Works and Transport Minister Jack Warner to question why it took so long to bring relief to the thousands of residents of Maraval and surrounding areas. And a new bus service was launched in Penal. The service will bring relief to hundreds of commuters from the rural communities in the area.
And will help us to ease up the hassle which we have had to put up for many years. And so the people of Queen Anne, Superior, Rock Road, San Francisco, Massau Junction, Mont Diablo, Barco, and many other areas will benefit from these services.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar told the gathering at the function that as her government approaches its first anniversary in office, the administration should be judged in terms of its impact on the lives of citizens. Resident Mr. Solomon Moyne of Penal Rock Road told the gathering of the difficulties he encountered on a regular basis with regard to accessing transportation. Thanking the government and PTSC for the new bus service, Mr. Moyne says he can already see his own situation improving as a result of the initiative.
I'm very happy. What I want to tell you this evening, sometime I have to go to the San Fernando Hospital, and depending on most of the vehicles in our area is PH vehicles. Recently I had to go to the hospital for 8 o'clock. I didn't reach there till about 10, because in the morning time we don't have no transport. It cost me $7 to come to Penal and $7 to go, which is $14. And I am dependent on government for assistance, very hard for me. But I'm really happy today, very, very happy for this service with PTSC.
And improvements to the delivery of healthcare continued this week with the commissioning of a brand new state-of-the-art hematology analyzer at the St. James Medical Center, capable of testing up to 12 blood samples at one time. The cost of this hematology analyzer center is $1.2 million, and the Health Minister, Therese Batiste Cornelis, believes it is money well spent.
There are 2, one for display and one here. But of course, other types of machines might be in the private sector. But again, what we said is that there's no reason why things that can help and are tested, tried and true cannot be used in our public system. The cost for this machine was $1.2 million, and if you look at value for money, in terms of the timing, and therefore this is a National Rheotherapy Center, and they do a lot. This test is a lot of things looking at white cell blood count, and you know that's a very important blood count when you're dealing with cancer patients, looking at how the disease is progressing or not in the body. And it's even more important to the Ministry of Health, because remember our focus is the NCDs, non-communicable diseases, of which cancer is very prevalent in Trinidad and Tobago.
The health minister said efforts are underway to get the National Oncology Center completed. She said technocrats from the various ministries involved in the project have been meeting to map out a way forward.
Ministry of Works, the architects from the previous are coming together. We're looking at putting this project forward, and hopefully within 18 months having that National Oncology Center. Trinidad and Tobago has waited so long, but it's not. I mean, I think I want to make sure it is one thing. I leave here, it's a proper functioning center, and this is a holistic center. And I don't like to use the word holistic normally, but this is a holistic center in the sense that it's going totally at everything that concerns cancer.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar tells nurses that the country needs them. In a message on the occasion of International Nurses Day, the Prime Minister says nursing is much more than a job and should be considered a vocation. She describes nursing as a profession to be undertaken by the strong of heart and spirit with a genuine concern for the well-being of others. In her message, the Prime Minister points out that the local healthcare system employs over 6,000 nurses. She says nurses are critical to the delivery of high-quality, efficient care in health institutions. She wants them to know that she is fully aware of the sacrifices they make on a daily basis to ensure that the country's health system is not compromised. The Prime Minister is also assuring the nurses that government is committed to working with them to raise the bar on the standard of health care which is now offered to citizens. And addressing a symposium in commemoration of International Nurses Day, the Minister of Health promised more power for nurses when the Advanced Nurse Practitioner Bill comes into effect. The minister says the legislation is now before Cabinet.
We have looked at the TRHA as one of the models, the pilot model, to roll out the primary health care model along with PAHO. And nurses are the principal group of health personnel providing primary health care. So important, we crafted new legislation and took it to the Legislative Review Committee, which came out and is now before Cabinet, to bring the Advanced Nurse Practitioner Bill. Because we recognize we have nurses who can do a lot more than our bills allow them to do, and we want to give you that power.
The country has a new Minister of Planning, Economic Restructuring and Gender Affairs. Dr. Bo Tiwari took the oath of office at Knowsley on Wednesday.
I, Boindradat Tiwari, do swear by the Bhagavad Gita that I will bear true faith and allegiance to Trinidad and Tobago and will uphold the Constitution and the law, that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as a minister and do right to all manner of people without fear or favor, affection or ill will. The first priority for me would be to look to see the extent to which things at the Ministry of Planning, Economic Restructuring and Gender Affairs are aligned to the commitments of the manifesto. I think that is very important because a sustainable development framework was established and there were 7 pillars and a list of agenda priorities. And these things, of course, cross ministerial boundaries, some of them. And therefore, you need the alignment, not just within the ministry, but the connectivity in a cooperative fashion with other ministries. The second thing would be to get to know the people in the ministry better and to try to establish a rapport with them in which they can be part of whatever we strive to achieve on our agenda and to make them really part of a team working together for a common purpose.
A series of major initiatives aimed at boosting trade and investment in the country is planned for next month. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, in a media release, announced that the Caribbean Investment Forum and the Commonwealth Business Council are set for June 13th and 14th at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center. This will lay the backdrop for the annual Trade and Investment Conference from June 15th to 18th at the Hyatt Regency. The Prime Minister says the forum will build on the outcomes of the Commonwealth Business Forum held in Trinidad in November 2009 and will assist the country and the region in developing its position for international trade and in developing relationships in key economic sectors in the region. She adds that economic diversification is an imperative for future prosperity and sustainability, given the global economic slowdown. Minister of Trade and Investment Stephen Cadiz elaborated on the program of activities as he attended the opening of the Zanacau warehouse in Point Lisas. The Zanacau Group celebrates its 150th anniversary and is a global trading company dealing in sugar and energy. Minister Cadiz says the arrival of a large company such as Zanacau to our shores indicates that Trinidad and Tobago is attractive to investors.
As this investment signifies confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago economy, and I wish to recognize the Zanacau Group Limited for establishing its 13th, I don't know if that's a very lucky number, but the 13th international office in our Twin Island Republic. Thank you very much for coming here, for choosing Trinidad and Tobago. And the presence of such an internationally recognized company will add to our reputation as an investment venue and will encourage other firms of this caliber to invest here. And it's very important for us to know that regardless of the type of business that it is, the fact that you have that foreign direct investment coming in says something about any economy.
Minister of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Fazil Karim has set up a special committee to review and improve the Government Assistance to Tertiary Education Program, GATE. The committee is headed by Jawala Rambaran. We have more details by Sherilyn Lewis.
Minister Fazil Karim says it is important that persons subscribed to the GATE program are getting value for money. Speaking to GISL, the Tertiary Education Minister said this new GATE review committee will make assessments to see exactly how taxpayers are benefiting from the program.
You would have recalled as well that last week Thursday, the Honourable Prime Minister formally opened the first Workforce Assessment Centre, which is part of the expansion of the GATE program, to which she has allocated $16 million to the rest of this financial year. Effectively, what the appointment of the GATE Review Committee is about is to see exactly if our taxpayers are getting value for money in terms of financing GATE. So far, the allocation, the budgetary allocation for GATE for this fiscal year is $625 million, and we have spent $242.9 million so far. The reason why we have called the meeting of the private tertiary level institutions, private TLIs, is because their contract for GATE is they have a two-year contract, and it's going to be due up in August. And we thought it's important for us, in the spirit of the People's Partnership, to have consultation with our major stakeholders.
More community centres before the end of the year. That's the assurance given by the government at the opening of the La Gloria Community Centre in New Grant earlier this week. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Community Development Minister Nizam Bashk did the honours. For the year, 6 community centres have been opened, and as was revealed by the Minister of Community Development, Nizam Bashk, 20 more are expected to be opened before the end of the year.
The completion of this community centre was important because the people of La Gloria are important. After many years of waiting and after many unkept promises, the people of La Gloria still remain without a community centre. So upon taking office, I made the completion of partially completed community centres one of our top priorities.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar pointed to the importance of community development.
Because communities consist of individuals, families, groups, organizations, and institutions, all of which contribute to and affect the development of the whole. And one of the key ways to ensure community development is the establishment of working community centers, which in most countries, such as developing ones like ours, is an essential institution for those suffering from social exclusion. Social exclusion can impact on the unemployed. It can impact on the homeless, the disabled, or the elderly. It can include single parents, low-income families, or members of other challenged groups.
The construction of new libraries for Mayaro and Rio Claro will begin before this fiscal year ends. That's the promise of the Member of Parliament for Mayaro and Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Winston Peters. He was speaking at a function to commission a new library for the Guaya Guayari Roman Catholic Primary School. The library was commissioned and built by the National Energy Corporation. For Minister Peters, under whose jurisdiction Nallis falls, this is a welcome beginning.
In Mayaro, there will be a 2-story facility on a new site. And in Rio Claro, there would be the same. The present library structure in Mayaro will be preserved and would be reverted to its original use as the village hall as we know it.
Whitehead students in Tobago now have additional computer support with the opening of a new mobile computer unit. The lab is a product of collaboration between the Ministry of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education and the United States Embassy. The unit was launched by Minister of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Fazal Karim and Minister of Tobago Development Vanella Alain Toppin, along with U.S. Ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago Beatrice Welters. Trinidad and Tobago is set to become the only country in the world to develop a universal early childhood care education system. There are over 200 early childhood care centers across the country, and government is intent on constructing at least 100 more, according to Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh.
We will be taking care of our 34,000 children between ages 3 to 5. At the moment, we have 200 early childhood education centers. 83 are being run by Serval, and the other 117 are run by government and government-assisted denominational boards. We take care of 12,000 children like that in the formal system. About 3 Monday nights ago, the Prime Minister instructed the Minister of Education, myself, that, Minister, I want to have us to succeed in bringing about universal early childhood education. And she discussed with us and gave to us the instructions that we move towards the private sector and join with the public sector and private sector to ensure that at least 200 out of the 735, in inverted commas, schools which are offering kindergarten and nursery services, we discuss with them to bring them on board with improved re-engineering or reconstruction of some of their schools, providing the facilities, providing the teachers, and providing all the amenities in these schools. Madam Prime Minister, we have already succeeded in getting 75 of those willing to come together with us in that partnership.
In her address, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar recounted her days as Education Minister and the promise she made to ensure that there was constitutional guarantee of equality for all citizens where education is concerned.
And education is the right of every person in this land. I work very hard to implement the policies. I said before, and I'm repeating, we got universal primary, universal secondary, and we're working to universal tertiary. And what is the third or fourth plank or limb or foundation pillar I want to build in this land? You know, there's a saying, and it's backed by scientific evidence, that the first 7 years of a life of a child are the most important years of that child. And so when we move, as the Minister of Education has told you, this 5-year term we have now is 4, 1 gone, we have 4. In this 4-year term, Minister of Education, is your mandate. My vision, my mission is to achieve universal preschool education. Why? Why, PS? Why? Because those first few years of a life of a child, they build, they make the difference
between a better quality of life or a life of poverty.
And that's where we leave it for this edition of Pillars of Progress. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time as we continue to look at our government at work.